Something that I'm like quite worried about is definitely AI art. I mean, I think the balance is shifting so much towards the consumer as far as having like a tailored experience that it's quite threatening for artists themselves.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of NEWFORUM. And I'm always happy to bring you awesome creators, founders, visionaries, and developers on our podcast. And NEWFORUM is powered by New Foundation, and it's our aim to spark informative and educative, human-centered conversations on the topics of crypto, NFT, DAOs, DeFi, and the metaverse. And on today's episode, I'm super excited to have with me Nicole Ruggiero, who is a 3D visual artist whose work concentrates on tech and culture. And she has exhibitions for some of the most known establishments, such as LA Art Show, the König Galerie, Porsche, Frieze Art Week, Rarible, and Christies. And I'm super happy to talk with her about the art of the future, her process of making art, and why the tech and blockchain world brings kind of like a new era of art. Hi, Nicole. I'm happy to have you on today.
Hello.
So yeah, Nicole, your art is truly like one of a kind. I feel like it's really like kind of like its own metaverse. Could you explain how you got to that point and to our community who you are as an artist?
So I started doing 3D in 2015, and I decided to focus on the internet and like online culture as a topic. So it's something that is really commonplace throughout my work. And I'm really just interested in how technology affects culture. So you'll see that in my work, time and time again. I don't know.
Yeah, that I mean I've seen I also heard you on a couple of podcasts, and it says you've been really inspired by like video games and anime, and I'm wondering like how long for you is the process of making like a bigger art piece? Like how long do you take from like sketch to finish, or if it's like a really intense 3D project?
I mean, it varies. It really varies. Like, my most recent exhibition I was working on for a few years, but that's also because I funded it myself and it was expensive and it took a long time to create things. I had to, do commissions on top of that. And, it was before NFTs were a thing that we started it. My collaborators and I started it. So it was hard. But with NFTs, things have gotten a bit easier as far as being able to like make money through my work more. So yeah, I mean it really just depends on the idea, how much time, how much it costs. I do try not to limit myself if I have an idea, at least not too much as far as the creation process goes, because I think that's really important. But at some point it does come down to like time and money and execution. And yeah, I mean it varies. Some stuff takes me a day, some stuff takes me years.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering, like, when you make these amazing pieces, like, do you ever feel like, I don't know, me, if I would create something, I would kind of feel like an imposter if I, present my work for such big galleries. Like, how, I'm wondering for you, like, before, having such establishments backing you up, like, how is that feeling of you changing from, maybe being an artist on the side or just starting out in art to then really having like, oh, I'm getting these big gigs and I'm, now playing, like I'm now part of this, I'm wondering how that change was for you.
I was like pretty lucky when I started doing 3D. So I feel like pretty quickly I started getting those kinds of offers from galleries. And I was lucky enough to collaborate with some really wonderful people at the time as well. So that all happened pretty quickly. But, I mean, I've been making art since I was like a kid, like 12. So it was a process. Before I started doing 3D, I was doing like digital painting, I was doing animation, a lot of 2D stuff. I guess like when I was younger, I kind of felt like it was almost impossible to become a professional artist. So much so that I studied graphic design in school because I wanted to move to New York City, and I knew that I would not have been able to do that like right out of school, like, and afford it financially without having studied something that was more commercial. So, but I always wanted to be an artist as my career, not a graphic designer. That was something I just did so I can make money, you know. So after a couple years in the city, I decided to really push for that. And because I was in New York, I felt that I was able to make, you know, more connections more easily versus I was in Florida before, which is just like completely devoid of like any kind of like arts culture really. So it helped being here. It helped also that I started 3D at a time when it was kind of like trending as well, and I got to meet a lot of cool people. But it's interesting because now I'm debating like, do I still need to be in New York? I've been here like 8 or 9 years now, I think. And, you know, I mean, it's expensive here. And I feel like that's now limiting me because I really want to just kind of like go into like a hole basically and just like make stuff for like a year. So I've been talking to my partner about potentially like getting out of the city and just like having a real like incubation period to just like create now.
I think that's so incredible. Like I feel like this very similar because when you're in a city, there's so much around you what inspires you, and it's so thriving. But there's this con side that is like, you know, the living expenses are getting higher and higher, and you know, when you work online or digital, you don't need to be there essentially, and you ask yourself like, why am I keeping up with this? So there's like, I love cities so much because it gives fuels me every time I come back from the city. I'm like, damn, like I have so many new inputs, but then yeah, there's also a big con, I would say. And what I'm wondering with social media, do you think like that has influenced your creative process in a way? Like you said, you wanted to take some time off to really focus on putting time into projects, or, you know, because I feel like there's always like the artist or the musician or even the designers, they take some time off and get their insights and then they make something. Do you feel like that got lost with like social media a bit, or how do you feel?
I think for many artists, definitely. For me, I never really played into the algorithms that much. Because like my work, like I like doing like larger projects. Like I don't only do like single day projects or, you know, make things that like only take a couple days. So for me, I was never really, I mean, when I first started, I was doing that a bit more, but I was like learning the software as well. So it was different. But then as I got more acclimated, you know, I wanted to do bigger projects. And so it was never really a thing for me to kind of just like play into the algorithms as much. So for me, I feel like I very easily get inspiration because I feel like as I'm working on a project, like my last exhibition, like I have to admit that I was like kind of over it towards the end. Like I was like, okay, I'm ready to be done with this. And I was having so many other ideas. So I feel like when I'm like stuck doing one thing for so long, that's when I'm starting to have like ideas about new work. And if I am ever stuck, what I usually do is I just sketch a lot, and that helps. I think for me, like artist block, like you always have to just push through it and kind of just, yeah, just like work through it and get past it. You know, it's not great to expect to like all of your sketches or like everything you make. And I think that's what stops a lot of newer artists is they're like, oh, I hate this or I'm frustrated. But I think a big part of being an artist is like learning to just move past that and just keep on making things, because eventually you will like something that you make.
Yeah, they say like you gotta bring some kind of discipline into, you know, going back to it and like keep this process alive. I know you're also into gaming, Nicole, and I'm wondering, do you ever consider in the future maybe being part of a game or making a game?
Yeah, so I mean technically I have made a few games or interactive experiences already. I think those are my larger exhibitions. Like usually work with some really amazing collaborators, and you can go on my website and look at my exhibitions and see who I've worked with and what projects I've worked on. But yeah, I mean I've been doing this too since I started doing 3D. It's something that I really love doing. Just having that interactive element is really, really important to me when I'm doing like bigger shows. I think that with technology, we tend to take a more passive role. And I think for me, what's been really important is kind of like engaging with my audience in a more with a more physical element, especially when I'm doing physical shows.
It's interesting how many people said that before on the podcast. Like they love the digital space and they love that they're able to go there, but they said nothing can beat like a live exhibition or that you also meet up with the people that you connect with. And I feel like that's something we should still keep alive. And I'm wondering like if there's something that you could change right now about the space that you're in, like what would you like to change?
Something that I'm like quite worried about is definitely AI art. I don't know if I would change it, but I'm really curious how it's going to affect our culture and really just like creating art as artists. I mean, I think the balance is shifting so much towards the consumer as far as having like a tailored experience that it's quite threatening for artists themselves. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious how it's gonna shake out. We haven't seen really that so much happening yet, but yeah, I really because I think there's definitely a lot of bias when people know machines are making something versus like a human. Like I think we tend to be a bit put off by that. So there's that element, which is good for artists, but then the other element is when I mean, talk about like a Turing test, right? So like if someone can't discern that a work is created by an algorithm or an AI, that's I think when it starts to get quite threatening for art as it is right now. I feel like perhaps we will, I'm sure there will be some sort of like counter in the art world to this technology, though I don't know what that will look like at this point in time, and I don't know if it will be successful or if like AI is going to be forever integrated into this like system of making art.
Maybe in the future, in 10 years, we will be like seeing like a human counter movement to AI technology. Be like, no, we don't want to use this. Because I've seen AI art and I'm like, it looks nice, but I feel like sometimes maybe it will get us lazy as artists and creators. It will just make us like, oh, I can just put this up in 2 seconds and it's done. And kind of for me, it's when I buy a piece or when I make a piece or I want to have that there's a thought put into it for a longer time, not just like for 2 seconds, like that's what makes art special. Like if you hang up a painting or you have collect something, it's because somebody put their value or their part of them into it. And I feel like with AI, it just, yeah, maybe we will see where it goes, but I like that you're reflecting on this. And I can also imagine a lot of traditional painters and people from the art will be very scared of it or be like, whoa, what is this current wave of technology and AI turning into? So very interesting. But I'm wondering, what do you think about has the Web3 space and the tech space offered you to express yourself more? Like I know you talked a bit on a podcast about identity, and I'm wondering what kind of positive changes did the internet space made for you?
I guess I've just been afforded more time to work on my art versus doing like commissions, especially where I'm working with like another art director or like I'm being art directed entirely. I hope that I can continue to sell my work. I know I mean, the entire economy is like going through like quite a shift right now, and a lot of people are struggling. So I'm sure in the future, it'll bounce back for everyone. So, but I am looking forward to just continuing to sell my work, primarily as my main source of income versus before, I was doing a lot of commissions, a lot of music videos, face filters, whatever I had to do to live. But now that I have more time to make my own work, I've been able to, concentrate more on my ideas, which has been helping me, come up with even more different nuances of ideas, which is really cool. So yeah, it's just, I feel more fulfilled, definitely.
And what would you say if like artists are still starting out with their journey? Like, what would you recommend them? How do they have to set up like, how do they get to that point? What do you think? Is it like endurance? Is it like finding the right people, or making sure that they take all these opportunities, or what helped you in that journey?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is talking to the right people, getting involved in the right communities, and really just doing some like research and digging and to see what you're interested in, and what kind of communities you want to get involved with. Even within the NFT space, like there's so many different communities to be a part of. So I think, just talking to people, going with their recommendations, as long as they're like people that you can trust, and yeah, just keep building from there.
Amazing. I have to finish off our conversation, Nicole, I have a quick round of this or that kind of, and I'm starting off with Web 2 or Web 3?
Web 3, definitely.
Okay, VR or AR?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with AR like for the future and VR for right now.
Okay, anime or animated movies?
Anime, definitely.
YouTube or Twitch?
YouTube, probably.
Fair enough. Okay, big exhibition or small exhibition?
I would go with big.
Okay. One last one. Your favorite exhibition so far?
My favorite exhibition so far. I'll have to just go with the one that I've been showing how the internet changed my life. Like, it's been really cool to get to put that on, especially in New York. It was my first, solo show, and it was in New York, and it was just a really, really awesome experience that, I got to make the project with my friends and collaborators, and it was such a long project that we worked on. And I feel like in the past, like my exhibitions have not taken me as long, so I think that there was like just such a big reward at the end of this. And then also to be able to, sell my work, which is the first time I've sold my work in an exhibition, really, which is like crazy because I've shown a lot. I've shown in a lot of galleries and even museum, and before NFTs I couldn't sell anything. And so being able at the end of the exhibition I've been showing, which I'll hopefully continue to show, being able to like continue to sell these works, which some are still available too, has just been really, really cool.
Amazing. Congratulations on that. And I'm sure we're going to see much more exhibitions worldwide. And yeah, where can our audience find you on your Twitter?
Yeah, so it's _ Nicole Ruggiero. Last name is Ruggiero. And then I'm on Instagram as well. No underscore, just Nicole Ruggiero.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Nicole, for joining me today. I really love, your insights, and I can't wait to see what you're coming out next with. And thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Make sure to check out Nicole's Twitter and Instagram, and also I'm going to link our Twitter and Instagram in the bio. We are NEWFORUM_NCO and also New Foundation. And yeah, I see you guys in the next episode, and stay tuned, and bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you.